So now that we know the difference between an argument and a parameter, let's look at just the way that this would work in the code. So this is still in 5.2, and this time we are on page 280. So what we have to know here is that what you see here, right here, in this function call, so this is what is known as, or a method call. I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth ineffectively, I feel, for you, between method and function. Here in Java, it's called a method. In C++, it's called a function. And the reason I am saying them is because of what is known as retroactive interference. I literally just spent the last 16 hours over the last 2 days yelling into a microphone just like this, saying function, 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 and now I am essentially broken for saying it's a method call because I've spent 16 hours saying function call. I will do my best, but they are literally interchangeable. So here you can see on the middle of page 280, it's in the middle for my page anyway, this is what is known as a method call. So it is the name of our method. In this case, it is display value. And then in the parens, we would pass a parameter over there. So here in this case, we can see right up here, we have a void method, which means it simply makes a display and then terminates. So it doesn't return anything. It just does its job. And you can see here that in the method header, that's right up here, there's its name, display value. Right here, there's its name, that's display value. And here you can see that it accepts an argument. That means it is expecting to be passed a parameter. That means that when you call to display value expects that that call comes along with data, something for it to do, something for it to use. And in this case, we are telling display value that you should expect an integer, and that when you receive that integer, you shall call it num for number. So that's what's happening right here. So we are passing from, let's call it main, although it doesn't have to be. So this could be a method call from within another method. It's what's known as a nested call. So a call from within a call from within a call. It turns out that you can do that. But once we call display value and we are passing it a parameter, 5, we pass that over to display value, and that comes right over here. When display value receives that as an argument, it looks at it and says, I'm going to call this num. And right here inside of, you can see the code right there. Once we have our system.out.println, we have value is, and then the concatenate, the plus, and then num. You'll notice I don't have to declare num inside of here because I've already done it in the method header. I don't have to do it again. And the result of my system.out.println is going to be the value is 5, just like so. So that's what passing a parameter and receiving an argument is going to look like. We will have multiple code samples later on where we absolutely do this. Now, what can you do inside of that expression, inside of that calling expression, display value, and then in the previous example we had 5. Well, there's a few things that you can do. You can, like you see here, you can have a mathematical result being passed as an argument. So what happens first is, because they're inside of the parentheses, the x times 4 is evaluated first. So x we know is 5, and then 5 times 4 is 20. So 20 is going to be the parameter that we pass. The argument that display value is going to receive is 20, and it's going to say, I shall name you num, because number would have been 3 extra letters to type, but it would have made me not sound like a jackwagon. The other thing that we can do is have the result of another function call inside of a function call or a method call. I told you I would keep doing it. So here, integer.parseint is actually another method. It's a method that comes with the integer include. So parseint lets us take a string, so 700. You can tell it's a string because it's inside of the double quotes. It allows us to take a string input and convert it to an integer without mistake. Because remember, integers are really, or letters rather, are really represented as integers. So a string can be represented as an integer, but 700 is not going to be the value 700 you expect because it's ASCII characters. Those are going to evaluate differently. So here, what we're saying is, okay, we'll take a string, 700. We can tell because it's inside of the double quotes. And we're going to pass that value to parseint. So parseint is going to receive that argument, 700, and it's going to go, oh, I got it, you're a string. Now I have to turn and convert this into an integer. That's why it's parseint instead of parse double or parse float. So then we get the result back, 700. So that result is then passed over to display value because it is a function or a method call from within a method call. So the inside one completes first, then to the outside one. So with that third example there, the display would be the value is 700. So we'll see this in more detail as we go along. You will see, not in beginning developers, so like not with you guys straight away, but over time you'll get comfortable with using, a method call inside of a method call inside of a method call to return values back. I've actually seen really clever, here in Java, in JavaScript especially, really clever uses of that return idea here from a function call. So you'll get the hang of this as we go on, but that's how we would pass a parameter to a method call as an argument. You would see that here. It's on page 280 and 281, I believe. Yep, 280 and 281.